Welcome back to another edition of the Vires and Numeris podcast powered by Briar.io with our affiliates Cheesecake Swap, cheesecakeswap.com. Current price $1. Obviously, this is not financial advice. Always participants go to, the risk goes to participants, and DeFi is extremely risky, but $2.661 million locked up now, market cap $1.3 million, total cake supply 1,296,105. So Cheesecake Swap, after about 40 days now, starting to carve out their niche, approaching $3 million total value locked. Second sponsor on the show today, Flashcoin. Flashcoin is a reinvention of Litecoin built to scale for worldwide commerce and fast enough to handle everyday transactions. The flexible and easy to integrate core code allows exchanges and wallets to add Flash to their platform within hours. With a settlement time of around 5 seconds and consensus within 2 minutes, anyone, anywhere can use Flash mobile wallet as easily as cash or credit card. So check them out at flashcoin.io. Thanks to our sponsors. Let's get into this episode with Lawrence Ray of BitRefill. He's an entrepreneur, found Bitcoin early through XRP. Ironically, we touch on that in this episode, so let's get into it. Welcome back. This is episode 36 of the Vires and Numeris podcast with Lawrence Ray. He's the guest today of BitRefill. I've known him for quite a while now, not super long, not 10 years, but a while. And we've been following each other on Twitter, and I'm happy he was able to come on the show today. So welcome to the show today, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm honestly honored. And yeah, I say it's been probably about a year or so that we've been back and forthing a little bit on Twitter and stuff. So it's pretty cool. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked a few weeks ago on Twitter Spaces. You invited me on for BitRefill, and that was a cool experience too, because I felt kind of like in a exclusive club.
Yes.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, good. It's good. It's cool to have because Twitter Spaces is obviously, well, it was in beta. I think they're slowly releasing it out now to anyone who's interested. But yeah, it's cool. It's been good to try that out. It's like a sort of different version of Clubhouse. So I've enjoyed it for sure.
Absolutely. So I always ask everybody that comes on here a little bit about their pet, how they grew up and stuff. Where did you grow up?
Yeah. Maidstone in Kent is where I was born and where I was raised, and I went to school not far away in a place called Rochester. And it's being from the US, you'd probably love it. There's a huge castle and a massive cathedral, and there's cobbled streets, and it's proper, really, really old. And the school I went to was founded 5 years before the original religion of Islam was actually founded. So it's old. That's where I grew up. And yes, where I spent a lot of my time, went away to university. And then other than that, I came back here and then traveled off to other countries. But it's where I sort of lived most of my life.
So that town was pretty small, or is that a bigger community, or?
I'd say it's a good size. There's it's kind of the way I like to describe it to people is it's the most average town in England. There's a cinema, there's a museum, there's the bits you need, but yeah. and it's a big shopping high street with all the general brands. But I don't know how many people. I'm going to guess there's a couple of 100,000 or something.
What kind of student were you?
I went to a very small university. It was did 2-year degrees, specialized in 2-year degrees. I did business, so I was a business student. And I was one that also liked to drink a lot, being honest with you.
That's okay.
So yeah, I spent most of my time, my motto throughout university was study smart, not hard.
Right. Yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah.
It worked, and to be fair, I knew when I turned up, lectures were not for me. I would fall asleep within 5 minutes. I'm very, a little bit, so I wouldn't say I've got ADHD or anything, but I'm a very kind of up there kind of guy in my head. I'm always thinking of different stuff. So if someone's lecturing to me, I'm done. I switch off and I can't help it. So I just didn't turn up to any lectures, but I went to all the tutorials, 100% nearly of all the tutorials, because it was close learning.
Right.
So
right.
That's how I did university, basically. And
very nice, very nice. So when in this journey, were you in college or what when you found Bitcoin? What year was it?
Oh, so, well, yeah, I mean, I guess when I originally, so I knew what Bitcoin was like properly. So this isn't when people say, "Oh, I heard about it." Like I didn't know what it was back in. God, it must be early because I remember I watched this video on the dark web or something on the BBC. It must have been like 2011, I'm guessing, or something like that. And I remember I was in school at the time. And they were talking about it, and I went and researched it for like hours. And I was like, this is so cool. But then I thought, if I buy this, I'm going to get arrested or something.
Right,
so I was thinking, like, I think it's connected to the dark web. I can't buy this. So I just forgot about it, basically. And then, obviously, the 2017 run happens. And so this is when I've well left university by this point. And a buddy of mine at the gym, he's getting really into XRP. And he's like, oh, this is the future. Like, this is the thing. So he then persuades me, because I'd been doing a bit of, like, stock side of things. And he's like, look, this is the way better. So persuade me into it. And then, boom. That's how I heard about crypto. So I was actually XRP first. Then I got into Bitcoin from there because I kind of remembered my research on Bitcoin. So that had like more of a reason to it, like an Austrian economics, and it felt like it went with me more. So that's how I got into Bitcoin.
Yeah, that was you actually good segue into my next question. Like, what were you already studying Austrian economics when you found Bitcoin? Is that what led you to it? Kind of like you already had a grasp of like what the problems were with central banks and the whole thing?
Yeah. I mean, I've always, I think ever since, I can't remember how young I must have been, but for years I was always obsessed with like the right thing and like how I thought if something was right or wrong, and like freedom. So it's even like in school, if someone got in trouble for the wrong thing or something, I'd be really upset about it and I'd like try and lobby against it or something. I was very like, everyone should be able to do the right thing and what they consider right, and as long as it's not hurting me. So I was very libertarian for as long as I can remember. So Bitcoin, it was kind of, I got into XRP because of the money, and I thought it was a cool idea. I just still think it is. It's a pretty cool idea. And then I kind of like remembered, I got told about it. I then looked into Bitcoin again, and I was like, whoa, like, immediately I'm like, I know the central banks are, in my opinion, doing horrible things that if you or I did it would be considered fraud. Right. I know that there's all these issues. This is awesome. Like the limited supply is deflationary, the people power aspect. It was just me 100%, and I got super into it from there, really.
Were you interested in politics, or was that not really as important? I mean, you said you're a libertarian, so are you kind of like me? Are you an anarcho-capitalist at heart, or what?
Yeah, I guess I try not to label myself too much. Like I did, right. I guess, say I'm a libertarian, but I guess that's the nearest to what I am. I'm not exactly massively pro-government, but I'm not like burn it down right now either, if you know what I mean. So a little bit like, I kind of think of myself as like a bit like Ron Swanson in like a whole thing of like, I like to see it crumble a little bit, but politics. When I was younger, I was very into politics from quite young age, and I remember just kind of being extremely into it when I was talking, I don't know, 12, 13 kind of age. And I've got I went and got a signed picture of Boris Johnson at that point because I thought he was funny. And this is back when like it was before he was mayor of London, and now he's the prime minister of the country. So I've got like an old signed picture. It might be worth something actually, but so I was very into it. But then now, like as years went on, I realized that I wasn't. I realized, kind of, in my opinion, that the more you know about politics, the more you realize it's nearly pointless.
Right.
It's my opinion of it. Yeah. So now I don't pay any attention really, to be honest. Other than election time, I'll sort of research for a few hours and then I'll make my decision.
It does seem like the people that got into Bitcoin the earliest were, I was into politics for a while, like the Ron Paul stuff. He's the one that led me to Austrian school and Murray Rothbard. But it does seem like the earlier Bitcoiners, you don't see a lot of political posts. I don't know, at least I don't. It's kind of like that monomaniacal focus on crypto. Like that was, a good way to like an outlet or whatever you want to call it, like just completely forget about politics and just like focus on something that you can actually change. Is that kind of how you feel about it?
Yeah, I think with Bitcoin that is probably true actually. Like obviously people have their political beliefs, but generally it doesn't seem to bleed into the Bitcoin talk on social media and in person as much. With altcoins, I see a lot more political side of things, especially like I know a lot about the XRP community because, as I said, that's how I got into it. So in the XRP community, there was a lot of like hard like right-wing people more than left-wing, I guess I'd say, for some reason, and a lot of politics shining through. But yeah, I think you're probably right. Like generally, crypto, more so Bitcoin even than the rest of crypto, but crypto in general is it's not super political compared to a lot of other areas. I think I'd agree with that statement. Yeah.
Yeah, we've kind of carved out our own political scene here, within our own community. It's interesting. We can get into that in a little bit, though. What do you think?
Yeah.
When was a light bulb moment then that you were like interested in doing something in crypto?
I think for me, because I was doing insurance work and I don't dislike it at all, but I wasn't in love with it either. And Sunday evenings I'd kind of be like, oh no, and then Monday morning I'd almost feel sick when I'd wake up, and I'd kind of be stressed and nervous a lot of the time. But as I say, I didn't hate the job, honestly. It just, I guess maybe part of me did, which is why I felt that way. But it was a good job, good companies I worked for. But yeah, I went and made that dip to go full-time crypto. And I think really that is because I met a good friend, a close friend of mine. His name's James, and I met him. He's from New Zealand. I met him on a airport bus in Latvia, in Riga. And we just started chatting, and this was in 2018. So I just got into crypto, and he was into crypto, and he was using it to travel the world. And he was like working with like Trust Wallet and people like that, helping them with development. And so he kind of, and I'd always been big into the idea of traveling, but not like doing a gap year, but traveling properly, like living somewhere for X amount of months, really feeling it, seeing it, going to local places. And so he was doing that, and I was like, this is awesome. And he was into crypto. So it kind of made me kind of click to think, okay, this could be my ticket kind of to the life I want to live. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, essentially he had this opportunity to start a franchise of a brokerage, cryptocurrency brokerage, but in Brazil. And he kind of just said, do you want to join in, basically? Because at this point, I'd invite him to stay with me for months and all this different stuff, and we got much closer, and I was like, hell yeah. And that kind of is how it all came about, really. It was that kind of moment. I was like, I can do this. And then when I got out there to Brazil, it was like, this can be done. I'm not useless. Because I always thought I'm not a developer, so I'm pretty much useless in the crypto world. But that's not necessarily true. Yeah,
that's an interesting story. You jumped one on me though. I wanted to talk about BitRefill a little bit. You want to tell everybody what you do there?
Yeah. So BitRefill, I mean, in this journey, I guess. So I went to Brazil in the beginning of 2020, and I was out there. And BitRefill, I'd discovered 2019 probably sometime. I was discovering the Lightning Network basically on Blue Wallet, and I was just messing about, and I could see that you could buy some stuff with Lightning. And I was like, holy shit, this is like, you can buy something with crypto. Yeah. This is like my eureka moment that like, this is a real currency. It's not just an investment tool. So I was a big fan. So I followed them on Twitter and whatever. And so I was in Brazil, and there was this competition to do a video of like how BitRefill had saved you or whatever. And my buddy James, it had literally pretty much saved him. He was able to buy food when his bank was locked out, and otherwise he would have pretty much starved. He was in this country. So BitRefill really helped him. And then for me, I was like, it was good fun. I bought some games and stuff. So I then entered the competition and then just badgered them from there repeatedly with like writing blogs and all this stuff. And they then hired me. And so I started out as just a brand ambassador, doing like a couple of hours a week of Brazil mainly focused stuff, and just like blogs and different things, just trying to help them in Brazil. And then from there, I just went up, and I now work part-time BitRefill, and I just focus on marketing in general, and UK and a bit of Brazil as well. And yeah, BitRefill is awesome. Like one of the best companies I've worked for sure. I mean, I'm a fan still, even while I'm working with the company, and I haven't got enough good things to say. I mean, you can buy pretty much most stuff you need with crypto using them. It's an awesome service. So yeah.
For somebody that wants to see it used as money too, I think that's a pretty cool use case. Like, you have no way to feed yourself. I mean, you laid it out perfectly with that story about your friend. Uncensorable money. You still are able to, do what you want in a country. Maybe you're traveling, like you said, all over the world. I mean, it's probably at this point it might be easier just to live like that, to some degree.
Oh, dead on. And like when I was in Brazil, I could see that. Like I was out there, and you got to get to one of the 24-hour ATMs to get the money out to spend. You're like with your British card, or you have to like take it to the place, and you get charged fees there, fees here. Some places don't take card, and it was just, to be honest, quite difficult. I'm thinking, damn, it's probably like, so when I go traveling again, I'll probably put most of my fiat left over into crypto, because it'll be easier for me to live off of crypto, quite frankly, especially with a crypto card, for some of the purchases. So yeah, it's actually, it's genuinely, it's the point where it's actually just a lot easier to live on crypto when you're like a nomad than it is to live on fiat. It actually just makes more sense at this point. So
all of them will eventually, like, it's coming. We're seeing it now, so it's pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
What exactly? Can you talk more about the brokerage in Brazil? That's a pretty cool thing to get involved in, like, right off the bat.
Yeah. And it was a huge learning curve. I mean, for me, because obviously, so with my insurance, I was in insurance for like 6 years, and with that, there's a lot of things I got involved in, which is great, like legal sides of things and dealing with huge amounts of money. So that really did help, and my writing as well, writing reports and all sorts. So that was helpful. But you're trying to start a cryptocurrency. Oh, do you want me to put? So you're trying to start a cryptocurrency brokerage out there, and I mean, my knowledge of crypto was good, but I didn't know how to find a liquidity provider or how to start a bank in Brazil or even start a company in Brazil, to be honest. So there's a lot of research that went on there, and we did it, and we're at the point where we're live, and we're nearly out of sort of beta live, and we're basically about to go. So I'm amazed we got it, but got it done. but yeah, it was essentially the one we're starting is a super simple cryptocurrency brokerage. So it's called Easy Crypto, and we're using we've been blessed basically to be able to use the website and the back end from Easy Crypto, which is like a New Zealand based brokerage in the first place. And then we've had set up like payment providers and sorts of different things in the background, so that it all works, and the legal company and the accountants and this sort of stuff in Brazil. So yeah, idea is it's super straightforward, like your grandma can buy Bitcoin kind of thing, and there's no custody from us either, which I'm a huge fan of. So it's just, you put your Bitcoin wallet address in, and we send it to your Bitcoin wallet address. Not your keys, not your crypto is one of my sort of favorite things there. So it rocks with that perfectly.
That's pretty awesome. Wait, they speak what, Portuguese in Brazil?
Yeah.
Do you speak Portuguese?
Un pouco português, like
very little, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I was better when I was there. Like, I could hold conversations, like general conversations with people that was sort of averagely slow paced. But now I've forgotten a lot of it when I had to come back.
Yeah, it's still cool. It's all those it's Latin, right? Is it based on Latin? Yeah, it's like I think it's some of the same words, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's similar to Spanish in ways. It's kind of like, I always think of it as like a blend of Spanish and French in a sort of way, and
right.
It's more nuanced than that, obviously, but that's kind of how I think of the language.
Some of the same verbs, I think, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where do you think the world is heading with like this whole crypto thing? Because we seem to be hitting like this mass that we were looking. I mean, we thought we had hit it last bull run. Remember that we were like, institutional money is here, like Tim Draper or somebody. Like, there was a few people buying or whatever, but it wasn't like it never built up like it is now at this point in a bull market. So where is this really it? And is this like our moment of like we're going into that next level or whatever? We're getting out of the early innings, in your opinion?
So I kind of have a bit of two perspectives on this. So I'm of that opinion that, yeah, this is a bit different this time. I think that the adoption is genuinely coming a lot more from institutions, a lot more from retail. You're seeing a lot more companies and people like accepting Bitcoin for things. It is becoming more this time. Having said that, I still subscribe to the idea that Bitcoin is designed in a little bit of like a kind of bubble fashion with the halving. Like, it does kind of create a bubble. Right. So I still think that we can see huge amounts of increases in adoption and like crypto become mainstream, but I still think we're going to have bear and bull markets. I just don't think we're going to go right back down to like $3,000 or whatever.
Right.
I think it's silly to assume we're never going to go below 50K again, or in my opinion. Like, I think we will, but I think that overall the trend is up and up and up. And I think that adoption is up. So I'm pretty hopeful. But at the same time, like, I think some people are being a little bit too much. Like, we're gonna go above 100K in a couple of weeks, and it's never gonna go back down. I think it probably will. Like, we will have bear markets, but yeah.
You and I are like right on. I think we agree, like almost there. We're in synergy or whatever in that for sure. Because I feel the same way. I mean, we've had all of these. We've had this. We have the pattern down, like you said. It's all based on math and the halving and everything. It's like we have the pattern already. We knew the bull market was probably coming. So it's why say that the pattern's going to end now is really like what makes you think that? I don't know, but. It will be interesting to see, like, if we go to like 150,000 or something crazy. Like, I've been calling 65K for a long time, and we almost hit it. So I'm wondering, like, I hope that's not the top now. But where do you see that? Where do you think we're gonna go? Like, how high do you see us going? And then you kind of alluded to it, but where do you think we'll retrace to? 90%, or do you see more like a 50%? Now, or what? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, well, this is where, so for anyone listening, I am not a trader. So I do not know, like, I really probably don't. I mean, my interest in crypto is more in like the building and the circular economy side of it, but I do still pay attention. I do still invest, I'll be honest. So I would think my thoughts on this are that I reckon we're probably going to get up to like a sort of 70 grand, maybe 80 grand area as a high, I think. Yeah, I'd love to be proven wrong, by all means, and I'm not an expert, so this could be complete crap. And then I also think that retracement-wise, we might dip to around the 20K area, maybe even a tad beneath, and then that will be the lowest that we'd see it go in a bear market without a huge black swan event. Of like, the president of America saying that Bitcoin is banned and all this stuff, which would be hard for him to do, but it'd still be a black swan event, I guess, because it would come out of nowhere, probably. So, yeah. That's my thoughts.
I like the prediction. Yeah, I mean, I just have to ask people when they come on here. Sometimes people don't want to talk about price, but it's just fun speculation, for fun. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah. But say anyone listening, do not invest on my advice because I am not an investor. Like I personally invest, but I'm not a trader. I do not, I don't know what I'm on about basically when it comes to this side of it.
So what would you say you've learned about the world being crypto?
What was that? Sorry, I missed the question.
What would you say that you've like overall, like now that you have some of these experiences in the crypto world, what is it like? What has crypto taught you about the world?
I think there's a few things. I think there's negatives and there's positives that it's exposed to me. And I think the negatives are, one of the biggest negatives, and I'll go with that first because that way I can just wash it out with the positives so everyone leaves this section of the conversation on a high note. The negative would definitely be the tribalism that people have in the crypto space. It's to me, it's quite disappointing. I understand maximalism. I do. I guess I lean slightly towards Bitcoin maximalism sometimes in the way I think, but I just think that people's willingness to not accept other people's opinions politely, and people's sort of insistence on really toxically going for one thing is kind of not good and disturbing to me. So that's definitely something from human culture. I thought that, generally you had your people who were racist, you had your people who were extremist in life, but generally everyone had a good side and was generally accepting of stuff most of the time. But the crypto world definitely exposed to me that people are very willing to kind of sort of take their stance and then die on it, basically. And I think that's an ugly human trait, personally. So that's a bad thing, but I think the good thing is that it's shown me about the world and humanity. I mean, I wouldn't have learned about, like, for example, all the different governments that basically shut banks and froze people's funds and took money literally from their bank accounts as like a tax without them being able to do anything in Brazil, in Cyprus, in all these countries. I wouldn't have learned about that, I probably don't think, firsthand from Brazilians who were alive at that time and experienced it. I wouldn't have learned about that without crypto. So that's quite a cool thing that I learned how. And also, I probably wouldn't have learned about the different bank systems in Brazil and other countries that I visited that aren't as good as that of the UK and the US. Because I wouldn't have been that focused on banking systems, really, if I hadn't been into crypto. It wouldn't have made sense for me to be bothered. So that's a really cool thing that it's taught me about the world.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see people come into Bitcoin in the beginning and especially people now, I feel like everybody's just chasing the money. We're in another one of these bull markets to see just everybody sort of gets red pilled about central banks and everything. You can't be on crypto Twitter too long, or even in this space. Like if you join a Telegram group or my Patreon, for example, like I'm in there at least like, mentioning this stuff, once in a while. So it's like, you're going to hear it if you're in Bitcoin long enough. You're going to hear about central banks and their ills.
Yeah, and I think that's cool. I mean, I'd already not been a fan anyway, but I didn't know of these other countries' experiences. So I think being in crypto has really helped open me up to other people's real world. It's like Venezuela, like hearing on a recent Spaces talk about how Venezuela's been affected from actual Venezuelans is really cool, and something I probably wouldn't have really come across. I would have known about it because I'm that kind of person. I like to just research stuff, but I wouldn't have necessarily got a real grasp like you do with crypto. So yeah, I think that's really something really cool. What about you? Like, what's something that you think crypto's kind of taught you about the world and about humanity, would you say?
Oh man, there's so much, but I agree with what you just said, but I feel like you kind of talked about your self learning or whatever, like being an autodidact or whatever you want to call it. I kind of feel like I'm like that too. Like a lot of my friends that I gravitate towards in this space are I don't know. I think the people that are trying to think more about it, like you said, you have sort of a maximalist inclination, but overall you have like an open mind about like the space, and you see it for more than just digital gold. Like obviously the future of the world is going to be built on these systems, so it's not just one thing. What else have I learned? Just, I don't know, man. I've met so many friends that like there's like people passionate about liberty all over the world, so that's been like a big. I came into crypto for free markets, and to see like all of these other people now that I'm like connected with, like you on the other side of the world, people all across on the other side of the world, every country I'm meeting people now. And I don't know, man. It gives me hope, like in a time where there's like so many bad things going on, like in the last year, especially. Like it doesn't even need to be talked about. There is like this beacon of light, and it's Bitcoin and it's crypto for me. So it's like the positivity, even though there's like a lot of negativity, there's like a lot of positivity too. So try to focus on the good, but the maximalism, man, I can't do the people that are, so they have their blinders on. They can't see like how important cheap transactions are to people in the third world, or whatever you want to say, in like a smaller country or whatever. So I don't know. I think there's people that came in just chasing money that are like, have become kind of like thought leaders in Bitcoin. And that's a little unfortunate for me that they don't embrace like, it's really free markets as much to me anymore. Like, I don't think Bitcoin is as much about free markets as it used to be, but to me, it still means that, if that makes sense. That was kind of long explanation, but.
No, I get you. And I think like what you say, because with maximalism, there's always this difference between, there's people who are Bitcoin maximalists who are polite about it, open to looking into other things, hearing about other things, but hey, Bitcoin is what I'm into. This is the only thing I put my money into. Great. Awesome. Good for you. Like, great. Couldn't be happier. But then there's Bitcoin maximalism that's like a toxic kind of maximalism, which some people support. And I personally don't. And I just don't think it really helps anyone anywhere to be shouted at or told their opinions are useless or whatever. I just don't think it helps. So there's a huge difference to that. I mean, it's like, if you have Bitcoin and a big part of you is like, okay, I want to have a Bitcoinized world. I want, freedom. And I love AI, and you're very principled about it. Mm-hmm. And then someone says, buy some ETH or whatever. If you say, yeah, no, I don't want to because it does not fit with my like world views. Great. Fine by me. Awesome. I couldn't, that's awesome. Like, good on you. But if you say no because it's trash, it doesn't actually work yet, and blah, blah, then come on, man. Like, it's kind of like a lot of the early Bitcoiners got into it before it was something that we knew even worked at all, and before it was even a currency, really, because no one had bought anything with it. And like, so it's kind of when people come and say, oh, yeah, but like all these other shitcoins are shitcoins because they don't work yet and nothing works. It's like, well, you wouldn't have been an early adopter of Bitcoin then immediately, would you? Because you only like Bitcoin apparently because it's been proven to work. Yet it's only been proven to work because the years of people who risked it on it. You know what I mean? That's something that really confuses me actually, and kind of frustrates me. But
I like the way you put that. It's like they weren't early adopters, so they don't even know that at like one point this was all just like a Hail Mary or whatever. Like, we didn't know this was really going to happen. Like, we were hoping this was going to happen, but nobody, it seems, remember, the guy at the party. I was that guy at that party in the early, like, last decade. I was that guy at the party, like, trying to talk about Bitcoin, and everyone was like, no, man, not tonight. So it's funny how quickly people forget, like, that we were just kind of like laughed at for so long.
Yeah, and then you can kind of see that happen to some altcoin fans, right? Like they're getting laughed at now instead, and it just
Right.
I can see the cycle going. But it is what it is. These people will be like that, and especially on Twitter, where you have to have a strong opinion to get followers, basically a lot of the time. And I find myself in arguments with everyone on Twitter. I can't win. I cannot win with my opinions. 1 minute I'm being told I'm a shitcoin lover maxi or whatever by Bitcoin maxis, and then on the same day I'm being told that I'm a Bitcoin maxi by some XRP or Algorand fans. I just can't win.
That's how you know you're doing a good job.
Hopefully.
100%. So what, as far as like smart contract platforms, where do you have a favorite one?
This is the thing. I like Ethereum as a project because its idea is awesome in the first place, and it happened, but quite a fair while ago, and they have kind of gone towards that idea. They've created a platform that's been used. I mean, look at Uniswap. So, it's being used. It's not a full success yet. It's not that supercomputer it wanted to be. And hopefully 2.0 gets them closer to that, but it's not perfect. So I wouldn't say I'm a fan of ETH, but I definitely like it. Cardano, I didn't really get it at all. And now I kind of get it with some of their ideas, but again, they haven't really done much yet. So I'm like, With Algorand, I quite like the way things are going. Like, I quite like the look of the cryptocurrency. But then there's always these issues, like, for example, I mean, this is the thing I can't really get around, and I always say this to people who are like strong algo maxis or whatever on Twitter. It's like they're assuming in the Algorand white paper itself. I believe it's a white paper anyway. It might be called something else. But in the Algorand white paper itself, they're assuming that 2/3 of all nodes are honest in order for it to be a functioning system. Okay. And to me, that's too much to assume. It's too much.
That's Silvio Macaulay, right? That's the guy that created that one.
Yeah, but otherwise, I mean, other than that, and I get that, like, in real world practice, I'm sure it probably won't ever get, but like, it's still a bit too much for me. But again, I still like the project. So I wouldn't necessarily settle on a winner. I guess I'd say I have a lot of hopes for Ethereum because it's got regulatory clarity in the US and it's got years and years as a first mover. And ETH 2.0 should hopefully be fantastic and solve a lot of issues. So I guess I'd say Ethereum is probably the best right now, but I have a lot of hope for Cardano and Algorand. And I know there's a lot of others out there as well that I've completely skipped over. I mean, technically, even BSV has smart contract capabilities, but I'm not really a fan of that. So,
right. Silvio Macaulay, he seems like an interesting guy. I haven't studied a lot about Algorand, but I listened to him on Lex Fridman, and he was a real interesting guy to listen to. So I'm going to have to look more at that. I've looked at it, but I haven't given it a proper look. Like, I haven't read through the white paper or anything like that.
Yeah, I'd recommend doing so. And it is a fantastic project. I mean, so far as the goals and so far as them actually carrying it out, they seem to have done a good job. But I said there's that one thing that to me, I'm sure, in my head, I'm like, it's fine. It will be fine. It's like if you keep your money on an exchange, it's probably going to be fine. But there's that chance it'll be hacked. It's kind of like that for me. It's like Algorand's probably going to be fine. I like the idea. It seems to go well, but I always worry about that assumption on the honesty of the nodes.
100%. I got a couple more questions for you here, like 3 more. All right.
Go for it, mate. Yeah.
All right, cool. We talked about price. We can talk about price in this question, but we can talk about it more about overall just adoption and everything. Where do you see Bitcoin at the end of this decade? Because we just basically started this one. The last one was amazing progress. Where is Bitcoin going to be at the end of this one? Like, say, just 10 years from now or 2030, where do you see us?
Damn, that's a really tough question. I've not even thought about that properly, actually, now I think about it, which is weird.
That's perfect. I want your first, what comes to your head.
My first decision. So
Yeah.
I guess yes, 10. Well, we're talking about 9 years from now, aren't we? If it's 2030 or whatever. Okay, right. I I think that I think that okay. So 90% of me says that we'll probably be somewhere around like something crazy, like I don't know, 400k or something like that per coin, or 300k, something quite high, is what about 90% of me thinks. And then there's 10% of me that says, hey, something crazy could happen, right? Like it could somehow get banned and the ban be relatively successful internationally, or something could come along that somehow does what Bitcoin does, but even better, and everyone accepts that, or most people accept that. It's possible. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that Bitcoin would be created like it was, but here we are.
Right.
If I said to you in 2006, like, hey man, there's gonna be this, you'd be like, how? How is that going to happen? So,
We were
10%
still
of me
on
thinks
flip phones then. That just shows you like the progress.
precisely right. Like I was watching Superbad the other day, and they're on like these terrible phones trying to use main phones to make calls. I'm thinking, damn, that wasn't that long ago. But yeah, so then there's there's a small no, it wasn't, and then there's a small part of me that thinks that would be, in that case, that would be down in like a couple of dollars or like $100 a coin or something, because I think that Bitcoin will never, ever, ever go to zero, ever. I mean, permitting, the whole universe just didn't get blown up or something, that we won't go to zero, because
I happen to agree with that. That's a good comment. A lot of people probably don't understand that.
Yeah, it just won't. I mean, there's multiple reasons, but two of the biggest ones. I mean, one, it's like, so Andreas Antonopoulos, probably my favorite person in all of crypto there is. And his point on it was like, okay, you can go to Greece or you can go to Germany and you can buy these ancient currencies that have not been legal tender for thousands and thousands of years. Or you can go buy a Deutschmark, which hasn't been legal tender for, I don't know, 20 years, maybe longer, or maybe less. You can go and buy, and then you're buying it. You're paying for it. So these like ancient non-used currencies still have value. So Bitcoin won't go to zero for that reason alone. Like I'd love to just own a Bitcoin, even if it was this outdated thing of the past, because I'd be like, hey, yeah, got a Bitcoin. It's history.
That's
and
cool,
a
yeah.
lot of people like that. That's one really good reason. The other reason is there's enough crazy ass people out there who are even crazier than you and I, who even in the situation where it was completely illegal and it was like you're going to get shot for it, they'd still be running a full node.
Right.
It will still have value.
Yeah, there's still a lot of people there are the maximalists, but there are a lot of people that are very still into the freedom camp, I think, in Bitcoin. Maybe they're just not the loudest, so that's why, they're not on Twitter as much being loud. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. It's probably the case. I mean, it's often the minority that are the loudest on social media.
Right. This is the last question for you. I hope you'll come on again sometime, man. I appreciate it. It was good talking with you. One more for you. I try to ask most guests, almost every guest, this one too. What is like the overall ethos, or what does Bitcoin mean to you? Because it's obviously had a major impact on your life. So what does it mean to you overall? Like, what does this entire space mean to you as well? Like,
that's a good question. A lot is the first thing to say. I guess for me, it kind of feels like Bitcoin kind of brings, and I guess all of cryptocurrency, but mainly Bitcoin, kind of brings like this second, it kind of brings like a second world to me, almost in a way. So, especially with me working in crypto and stuff, or even when I wasn't working in crypto, it was like all this stuff could be just crap. Like, you can have COVID and all these horrible things going on, and deaths around your family, and all this stuff can go on that sucks, and it could all just be the worst. But then on the other side of it, there's kind of like this hope that Bitcoin brings. It's kind of like, for me, one of my favorite like graphic novels and films, like V for Vendetta, and my favorite book of all time was 1984, George Orwell. So like I'm big into dystopian novels. I mean, they're my favorite genre out there for reading and watching. And yeah, they're amazing. And the V for Vendetta film is awesome in its own right. The graphic novel, again, awesome in a different way in its own right. So with them, it's like Bitcoin's one of the only things that I can see out there that kind of actually sort of says, hey, like, here's some kind of answer to this. Like, no real, I mean, you see protests in the world and you see governments overthrown in the world, but it always goes back to the same shit. basically, doesn't it? Really, as far as I can tell. I mean, it's always the same old shit. But Bitcoin's the one chance that, like, I feel that we all have to actually go, yeah, let's start. You know, when a CBDC comes out, no thanks. You know, when these other things happen, no thanks. Well, let's just stick to, like, you know, these truly decentralized, or as decentralized as we can get them right now, coins and cryptocurrencies. And it's like the one glimmering hope to me is that even in a bear market, you know, that people will start using it to buy and sell, and they'll earn in it, and that's a huge, like, it's the one thing I need to keep going through anything. So for me, it's like it means a hell of a lot. It's very much, you know, it's strong to me, that kind of freedom token in a way, like the people power aspect of it is huge. So I guess that's the main thing for me, and that's what Bitcoin means to me. It gives me hope, basically, in humanity, quite frankly, as dramatic as that sounds.
I like the way you put that. It kind of reminded me of like what Michael Saylor says about Bitcoin, about how Bitcoin's like a battery that stores energy, but there's like this Bitcoin battery running inside of us too. Like, not to be corny or anything, but it's kind of true. Like, it kind of keeps us all motivated, it seems like, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And, you know, it's not like I can't talk about something that isn't cryptocurrency or Bitcoin with my friends, and it's not like it's running my life, but you know, the difference in my life now compared to when I wasn't working in the crypto space is huge, because right now I'm like, this is one of the only things, like, I love VR, for example. I love VR. It's super interesting. There's so much cool stuff you can do with it that can really help the world, and there's fun stuff, there's games, it's badass, it's emerging tech. I love that. But then with crypto, it's like, it's all of those things, and like, it's genuinely potentially can change the whole world for what I consider to be way better, like with financial freedom, which is so important. So like, for me, crypto is like the pinnacle of what I could be involved in right now, and I am. So I'm hugely blessed to be involved in it. It means a lot to me.
Absolutely. I hope you keep at it, man. I enjoy watching what you're doing, and it's been good being friends with you.
No, thanks. I appreciate it. And yeah, same. You know, it's one of those things. It's good to meet people who are like-minded, or even who disagree with me in lots of things too. Is awesome, as long as, you know, the person's a good person. And so yeah, it's awesome to chat to you. And who knows? I might see you in the US at some point. You know, go for a beer or whatever. Or, well, I say you're a Pittsburgh hodler, right? And I'm a huge Steelers fan myself. So I need to see a game. As I said before, it's a dream of mine. So I might see you know, somewhere near the stadium at some point.
I'll get us some tickets. Don't worry, man. You come to Pittsburgh, we'll go to a game. 100%. Don't worry.
Awesome. Hook me up, man.
We'll go get a Permane sandwich after.
Yes, I need to have a Permane sandwich, man. That's like what I've been told is the thing to do. I'll be buying all the merch.
Yeah, you got to get yourself a hoodie or a t-shirt and bring it back.
Right.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on the show today, man. Do you have any links you want to drop?
So nothing too crazy. I'd say thanks for everyone for listening. Thank you for having me. And yeah, I mean, I'm doing a lot of little different things at the moment, trying out different stuff like Twitter Spaces and YouTube. I'm trying to like explain crypto in quick, easy fashion to people, different cryptocurrencies. So yeah, just the best thing is my Twitter. You can just, I kind of share most of the stuff I'm doing on there. So I think I'm Lawsome Source or something ridiculous on there. So you can just follow me on there.
It'll be up on one of these sides here. So I'll add that to the video. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can follow me on my ridiculously named Twitter, and that's generally where everything I do will be. So yeah, please do so, and essentially buy Bitcoin if you can, earn in Bitcoin, and spend your Bitcoin, and just let's get the circular economy going, everyone. That's my final message to everybody. And BitRefill helps with that. Lots of other things help with that. BTC pay servers, whatever your whatever your choice. Just get spending.
Hey, we'll leave it at that. I like the way that you close that. I'll say a proper goodbye. Hang on. I appreciate you coming on, man.